Hey everybody. Hi. So I'm Taylor Gibson. I'm the manager of programming here at the Cedars Union, which means that I'm in charge of our monthly programming, including our lectures and our workshops. But I'm also the point of contact for the cohort, which most of you, I'm going to assume, are pretty interested in because you're here. This is Danielle. Danielle is our director of operations, and then we have Matt Bowden, who is our creative director and co-founder. So before we get into the presentation, I'm going to have Matt explain what the Cedars Union is, how it started, where it's from. So there you go, Matt.
So yeah, hello everyone. This is the talking stick. We'll use it later for the Q&A. But welcome. So my sister Megan and I started the Cedars Union a bit over 12 years ago. But for the first several years of being a nonprofit, we didn't have a space like this. We pretty much just operated out of community centers and out of the Dallas Library doing programming for artists. We had this big idea of having an art incubator space. So sort of combining a community space for artists with awesome programming, with studios, and also kind of like a makerspace vibe where we had really cool tools to play with. And to try and sort of build a community-focused hub for artists where they're supported and we can connect them to other people, both from like the business world, gallery side, exhibition opportunities, try and connect artists with people, try and connect artists with each other, and give a place where they would be safe and they could do whatever they wanted to, really. And so we moved into this building. We're almost at 6 years now that we've been in here in the Annex. So we sort of started the Cedars Union after my experience and my sister's experience of going through art school. And a lot of people don't get that opportunity to go to art school at all. But even for those of us who do, I went to SCAD. I feel like I got a really great education as an undergrad. But then you're kind of like pushed out into the real world with no business skills. And as most of you probably know, if you want to be an artist these days, you also kind of need to be an entrepreneur. It's probably good to know how to do taxes and to do accounting and all this other stuff that they don't teach you. And so we wanted to sort of fill that in. So a lot of the programming that we do is sort of based around artist entrepreneurship and then also connecting artists with the general public so that they can buy your work and hopefully you become more successful during your time here. So anyway, thank you all so much for coming tonight. We're going to record this, that way we can put it on our YouTube channel so you have a point of reference to go back to. Also, all of our programming we put online as well. So if you're interested in any of our programs but you don't have time to make it out, look at our YouTube channel, and about a month later I'll get around to editing it and putting it online, so you can do that. But thank you all so much for coming out. I will hand the talking stick to you.
Thanks, Matt.
And then when we do the Q&A, we'll turn it back on.
Were you in Atlanta or?
I was in Savannah. Yeah, I graduated in 07.
It's turned off, but you can hold it.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's basically how the Cedars Union was founded. Currently, it offers pro bono services, facilities, resources, programming, and facilities and tools to artists in the area. Right now, we're here. This is 1219 Hervé Street. This is the Annex, which you should be familiar with because we're sitting in it right now. But ultimately, the Cedars Union's mission is to provide resources such as studios, tools, programs, and pro bono services for creatives, foster a collaborative and supportive artist community, and advance the arts in North Texas. Us being in the Annex, I think the easiest way to start is just like, what does this building have physically for you to use as an artist? Matt's main point about leaving school and realizing that a lot of the tools that we come accustomed to are not in front of us anymore. We can't access them is really important. So that's the easiest thing to access at the Cedars Union as our space and what we have. This is the setup of the Annex. Right now we're in the meeting room. The meeting room is a flex space that we use. We do our critique in here, which is why we have the homoset walls, so we can hang up work. But as a member, a community member, or a cohort member, you're able to check out this space and use it however you need to. So if you don't have a home space that you can bring a gallerist to look at your work, this is a space where you can do it. You can reserve it, reserve the walls, bring people in. We have AV equipment for you to do conferences if you need to. Some organizations use this room when they need to meet with their broader organization, with their members. But it's a flexible space. Typically we do things like this in here as well, which is our lectures and talking series. But the building has a lot of useful facilities, one of them being the wood shop. The wood shop has everything needed to turn raw wood into usable lumber. We have a joiner and a planer, table saw, chop saw. These tools are really great because some of our painters and people who work more 2D come in buying their canvases and their substrates. But once they get here and they learn how to use the shop, they're able to do that themselves. So they can build their panels or their stretcher bars for their canvases here. But it also helps transform the way a lot of people work. So some will enter the program only doing 2D work, and then they leave doing more three-dimensional stuff because of the resources that they have inside the building. We also have our computer labs. We have a Mac and a PC lab. Our Mac lab is set up with the Adobe suite and a lot of like audio visual programming so that if you need to edit videos or work on graphic design type stuff, edit your photos, your documentation, you can do that in there. And then the PC lab is set up with Autodesk and CAD, so you can do your 3D modeling as well, which goes perfectly with our 3D printers, which are in there as well as the vinyl plotter, which is a really great tool for people, especially when you're exhibiting, to do your wall vinyl, or if you're working more 2D, you can use it to mask and make stencils. But they're really flexible, usable, and useful resources that the building has. Next, we have the Fab Lab, which is right behind y'all through that door. And we're gonna walk around after this and show you the space in person. You'll notice that these pictures are a little bit older, so the space has changed. But that's the cool thing about the space is that we're always getting more resources and more tools for people to use. The Fab Lab is a flexible space that people can work in. It's where they can come in and make a mess, because a lot of us don't wanna do it at home. As a member, cohort, or community, again, you can reserve any of the spaces here for your own practice and your own needs. A lot of us might not realize that the biggest resource we need is just a working space, a table. I have cats, they crawl everywhere, so I can't really work at home always. So being able to reserve a table, or in the case of the Fab Lab, you can reserve the entire room when needed, is really helpful for artists, especially ones who want to push the tables against the wall and spill shit all over the floors. We also have our printmaking area as well as our fibers equipment, which include 2 Juki industrial sewing machines, and then we have a multi-material cutter, which is useful for things like framing, as well as an array of tools that are tucked away, painting storage, easels, and then long-term storage in the form of lockers, which is on the back wall. The last space, which we'll talk about in a minute, is the studio hall, which is where the cohort lives. So it is a group of 14 to 18 micro studios that we will build up, take down, and build up with each cohort. It's constantly changing, but it is where the cohort lives. And I'll talk more about it in a minute. Yeah, please don't. And then we have our programming. Again, as the manager of programming, I'm in charge of most of that. But the programming is meant to offer tools, resources, and learning opportunities for artists outside of academia that you may not have access to otherwise. These can cover things like know-how, getting critical feedback, or also learning a new skill, or just having a sounding board to share your ideas with people. One of our most important ones and longest running programs is our critique. Critique happens once a month. We try to bring in an arts professional from the DFW area to be a guest moderator, and that person will share their feedback and their connections, perspective with the artists who are showing. I find this really beneficial, especially for people who may have work in its early stages. They may bring things that are not quite finished or even close to being finished, but having that outside fresh perspective is really useful being an artist, and if you're cooped up at home, you might not get that. So it's a great resource. My favorite are the workshops and the demos. The demos mostly cover how to use our space. So with our wood shop, say you become a cohort member or community member and you really want to use those spaces, but you don't know how to, we do monthly demonstrations on how to use those spaces. So you're able to come in at a set time, learn how to use them, and then you should be proficient enough to go in there on your own and make a mess. The workshops are meant to teach hands-on tools and processes that you might not have access to. This is from a paper making workshop we did with Magali Cantu, but we try to find things that you might not have ever thought about including in your process. as well as things that could be beneficial to people in their everyday process as well. So trying to find a mix of things that are a little bit more niche and a little bit more necessary are the points of the workshop. We have done ones on panel building, stretchers, crate building, things that are a little bit more applicable to everyone, and then sometimes they're just fun and we're making paper. And then lastly, we have the lecture series. This occurs monthly, and these cover artist know-how. They can be how to find funding opportunities, how to build your CV, which we have coming up next month. Our lectures are always open to the public, so we welcome anyone to come. But it's an opportunity to learn something or polish up on a skill that you may not have had the chance to. Sometimes we do creative ones from artist perspectives, so they can share their process and how they make their work. But oftentimes they're meant to help you polish up things that you need to use in the art world, such as documents like a bio or an artist statement. The next thing that I'm assuming you're all very interested in is our cohort program. The cohort program is an 18-month residency. It is 14 to 18 artists. They all enter at the same time and they all leave at the same time. A cohort functions as an array of artists with different skill sets, different backgrounds, resources, and connections in the DFW area. It's an opportunity for you to share what you've learned, share what skills you may have with the people around you, while also bringing your perspective to people who may not often get to see work like yours. So with the cohort, we often try to find a good breadth of people working in different mediums. We'll have painters, photographers, sculptors, fibers artists. We often have a bunch of muralists in the program as well. And this is meant to cross-pollinate your practices, and through the process of being in the cohort, you're able to look at the work of the people in the space, maybe have it influence you, maybe learn something about it, or maybe just form a connection with somebody whose work you really love. This repeats everything that I just said, but the most important thing on this slide is that Cohort 5, which again, most of you are probably interested in applying in, will run from February 2025 to August 2026. A big aim of the cohort is to bring in a group of artists who accurately represent the DFW area, diverse in their skill set, their backgrounds, their walks of life, where they're from, and have them get to know each other and share their experiences with one another. You've met 3 of us tonight, but there are 5 staff members here at the Cedars Union, but we mostly oversee the day-to-day operations of things here. When it comes to picking the cohort, this is done by an outside group of people, our jury. We try to grab 5 people from the DFW area who might have different perspectives and different experiences, educators, artists, people working in more administrative areas of the arts. But this year, the jurors are Vicky Meek, Narong Tintamusic, Tina Medina, Will Heron, and Sarah Hignite. So as a staff, we turn this over to them to make sure that the perspective is fresh and that their perspective is not muddied by our experiences already working in the building with the artists who come in here often. The main pool of the cohort is the micro studios. Again, they populate the back part of the building, the cohort hall. They range in size from 8x8 to 8x16. They're offered at below market rate price, so they're a bit affordable. In Dallas, sometimes it's hard to find a place with AC. We have that, which is great. So, but these are the prices. We often make sure that they're shown up front so that nobody is broadsided. So if you need to take a photo of this, you can, and I'll talk more about how these are built. These are designed by Matt. They're modular, set up in an 8x8 grid, which means at the end of each cohort, like I mentioned earlier, we can tear them down and then we can build them up depending on the needs of the people that are in the program. They're made with this pegboard system to where you can customize them and hang whatever you need on the wall. Sometimes people just need a bunch of wall space, they need a bunch of shelving, so they set those up. Other times they don't work anywhere higher than like floor level, so they just spill shit all over the ground. But it really depends on the needs of the artist, and that's why they're customizable, because you can use them to facilitate whatever process you may have. But they're also meant to encourage cross-collaboration with the people in the space, which is part of the reason why they have the half walls, so that you can peek over, look at the work next to you, maybe ask a question, and then get back to work. And then in tandem with that, it's an opportunity for people to come in and see how the art is made. As artists or people who enjoy art, we'll go into a gallery, we see it on the wall, but not often do we get to see how it's made outside of our own practice. So the cohort is an opportunity to educate the public on how these things are made. On top of the community member perks of being a part of our community, the cohort have additional access to secondary programming workshops. So with the cohort, as we move forward, we've updated our curriculum, which means that when we have a lecture on artist bios, there will be one that's open to the public, open to the community members, and then one that is cohort specific that functions as more of a workshop to get hands-on guidance and editing on those documents. You have access to 2 annual speed critique sessions with DFW art professionals. The first one will be with the jury, so we bring the jury back to update them on what you've been doing in the first few months. These are an opportunity to speak to 2 of them in 20-minute studio visits. It's super quick fire, but in my experience, people tend to enjoy it, and it's an opportunity to, 1, update the jury on what you've been doing, but also form a connection that can pay off in different ways with people in the community. We have 2 cohort-only exhibitions in tandem with our community exhibition. You have an access to a network of pro bono resources, such as lawyers or financial aids. I always bring this up, but we had an artist whose work was kind of stolen by somebody who commissioned them, and we put them in touch with our lawyer who got their work back to them. So making sure that the artists have the resources that they might not normally have access to, because oftentimes we find ourselves having to advocate for ourselves, and we can't do everything on our own. After that, we have paid opportunities to lead CU programming. I mentioned our lectures and our workshops. Sometimes we will source artists from the cohort to lead those. If they have a unique skill set or they're just interested in sharing a part of their process, we'll have them host the workshop for the month, and those are always paid. We have access to our donor bases. I mentioned that we bring a lot of people into the back of the building, so that's an opportunity for people to get new eyes on your work. Maybe somebody comes through and they really like what you're doing, so it's an opportunity for you to connect with them and maybe even sell a piece or get some type of connection that pays off in a broader context of the community. The last thing is building on those programs I mentioned earlier, like our workshops and our demonstrations. We have introduction and training on all of our facilities. So if you come in and you're pretty scared of the wood shop because everything is sharp and loud, you'll leave maybe being a little less scared of it, having gotten the skills needed to do whatever you need to expand your process. With the new curriculum, we're hoping that each artist leaves with an updated CV, an updated long-form and short-form artist statement, a professional headshot, professional documentation of their work, and an updated biography. These are things that, as you look at jobs and residencies, most places require whenever you're trying to apply. So we want to make sure that as you leave the cohort, you have the tools and the documents and resources needed to access these opportunities that can help you continue your artistic practice post-incubation. And here's the studio hall. I think we can go and look around the building. So I'm gonna give you all a tour. We'll come back and have 2 of our cohort artists speak to you, and then we'll go through the application process and then answer some questions. Does that sound good? Cool.
School today, I was like, I get to go. I can have a sleepover.
All right, everybody. So this is Alec DeJesus and Lauren Fleniken. They're 2 current members of Cohort 4. Their studios are in the back. I'm sure you saw them. But I thought it might be good to get some firsthand accounts of their time in the program, and maybe we can ask them some questions too at the end. But the first thing I want to ask is, both of you, what is one piece of advice that you can give for somebody joining the cohort?
Definitely, I would say one of the most important things is, and they kind of tapped on it in the presentation, is this is a bit of a rare opportunity to have so many people have your back in like the career of being an artist. There's definitely been times where I've had projects with some problem solving that was a little bit out of my depth. And I was able to just, come up, pick somebody's brain, pick another like artist neighbor's brain. So I would say, if you're going to be joining up with this, maximize that opportunity. Be in here as much as you can and get to know everybody. Get to see what everyone's good at and see what you can take away from that.
Yeah, I second all that. I would also say right now, as an artist about to apply, definitely my best piece of advice, trust yourself, for sure, 100%. You are talented, you are creative, you know what you're doing. For sure, trust yourself. If you need any help with anything, like you have people helping you out here, you can always reach out to me too. I think I know a lot of you, so you can always text me or reach out to me. But trust yourself, you got this, don't worry about it. Like, everybody's in the same boat. Yeah.
Next, in the cohort, what was the best opportunity that was provided to you?
The best opportunity, I would say, was when I got to do a collab with Cohort 1 member Hatziel. We partnered up and did a commission for Lexus, but then that also got us into the Dallas Contemporary, where I was able to, work with another veteran artist in the field, and then also with a large client and see how somebody else handled, their business as well. So I was able to soak up a lot of knowledge and then also get, quite a resume booster for that.
Yeah, so the biggest opportunity I had was actually this past weekend. I was reached out to by Taylor to do a commission piece for Talk of Dallas, and I was able to represent Edgar Allan Poe and do a little commission piece for that. And this past weekend, I was able to speak at an auction about my work to a lot of really high-paying clients. So definitely opportunities like that come kind of randomly. You don't really expect things like that to happen, but people will think of you, they'll reach out to you, especially when you're here. You have staff here that are always thinking of you and always looking out for your best interest. So yeah, that was the coolest thing that I've done so far here. It was really, really awesome.
And we try to make sure that those opportunities are paid as well, so that the artists are compensated for their time, because there are a lot of people who want art and want to be around art, but they don't want to pay for it. So making sure that everyone is compensated is really important. What were y'all looking for when you joined the cohort, and what did you gain?
I would say a couple things. Because I moved to Texas almost 6 years ago, I was looking for a way to maybe get a little bit more on the gallery radar. As a muralist, it's two different worlds. So access to the different professionals that come through the space, that was huge for me. Community was big. Getting to meet fellow artists and kind of see how they work. That was big. And then also the business tools. Matt talked about coming out of art school with very limited business knowledge, and that is something that I've gotten a huge benefit from here, from the seminars to just being able to have access to people in the field.
Yeah, definitely community was probably my main thing too. Doing studio art can be kind of lonely and isolating. I think everybody can kind of relate to that. It's a little bit difficult to be sitting in your studio at home or wherever you work and to feel like there's not really anybody else in the same boat as you. Especially with my background, I had a really hard time at college in my senior studio, and that was a really difficult time for me. And so at the time that I applied, I was about to graduate, and I was really looking for other artists that were kind of in this shared space of like, I want to talk to people, I want to engage with people, I want to meet more artists, I want to just have that kind of connection with more people. And that has been like the most valuable thing for me so far, has been able to meet people and make friends and make genuine connections with really amazing people. So that's definitely what I was looking for the most.
And then what we all miss most post-incubation?
I would say definitely the space. I plan on still attending different seminars, but just the space to work, the space that when you're working at home, you're afraid to make too much of a mess, and that's definitely a good part of my work. And then just being able to work around other people, kind of absorb and share that creative energy, I think is definitely going to be a big miss.
Yeah, literally just what I just said too. Like the community, I've made such genuine connections with so many people here that it's going to be really difficult for me to go off to a new studio and to not have those same people with me around me. I'm going to be in the 10 district, so I'll have another studio set up, but it's going to be a private studio, which is going to be different for me as well. I feel like I definitely thrive off talking to people and being able to come here and engage with people and see the people that I've just really connected with. And so I'm really going to miss coming in and just having beer breaks next door with each other and being able to like lean over the studios and talk to other people or walk around and have people bother me and distract me because I just love talking to everybody. But yeah, I'm really going to miss that.
Do y'all have any questions for them while they're up here? Murray, you got some?
I would say it's definitely met expectations. I was familiar with a lot of the previous cohort members, and just seeing, how they evolved through their cohort. It was like a mystery of like how they got from point A to point B. So I think I figured out a lot, being in the program myself. But yeah, I think there was a lot of room to experiment with work, and that's something I was really excited for. And I think, definitely what ended up happening.
Yeah, it absolutely exceeded expectations for me. I'm 1 year post-undergrad, so I feel like it was kind of daunting to come to a new space, and I was really excited to have this space to experiment with, and I've definitely grown in a lot of spaces that I didn't expect to grow in, socially, writing-wise. Like I feel like I've gotten better at writing about my work in general and talking about it and exploring it, and I've reached a level with my work that is a lot deeper than what it was in undergrad, I feel like. And it's a little bit scary to not have like somebody pushing you to do the work, like a professor, but it's way more freeing and you can go to different places when you're doing it by yourself.
I think just by having the space here really drove me to create a lot. I'm kind of like a high producer anyways. And then, we both did commissions with Taka, and I think just having different opportunities like that where there is like a hard deadline and it's your duty as a professional to meet it. I think just being in the program really facilitated those different scenarios. It kind of tested you at the same time.
Yeah, all that. And I also feel like it adds like a level of competitiveness also whenever you're talking to your studio mates and making friends and talking to everybody, and somebody is like creating something and doing something really big, and you're like, oh, I gotta get on it, like I'm falling behind. It really, it motivates me to have other people working around me as well, because I'm like, oh, well, now I gotta do stuff too. So that really helps. And then, just having the space too helps motivate you, because, you can make a day out of it. You can go get your coffee, get breakfast, come here, work all day, bring your lunch. Like, having the space really motivates you to actually work because you know that you have it.
And that you're only going to have it for a certain period.
Yeah.
Right.
Time limit.
Yeah.
Don't want to pass somebody up, sorry. Do you have anything you'd like to plug? Maybe your social medias, anything?
You can find me at you can find me at You Can Call Me Alec if you want to see any of my process. My next project I've got coming up, I'm actually going to be working in the building across the parking lot. I'm going to be doing a mural on mural cloth. So I'm going to be doing a mural on site here and then transporting it and installing it somewhere else. So that's going to be interesting because I've never worked in that sort of process. I'm usually on site. So that'll be my next sort of big thing coming up, literally, I guess.
Yeah, you can find me at lmflen, F-L-E-N, at art.com, not .com, at Instagram. My website's like Fleniken Art or something, .com. But if you just look at my name, you can find me pretty easily. The next thing I have coming up, I have a little show at the Eclectica in Irving, which is kind of an experimental space. It's really cute. I got invited to do a show with 3 other artists from Denton as well, so plugging Denton in there. But yeah, so.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Alec. So grab another snack if you'd like. I'm going to cycle over. We'll go over how to do the application and how that entails, or all that entails, and I can answer your questions on there as well. So get another snack while I move things around. Thank you, guys. Thank you.